What's up, everybody? Charlie Marlow here, doing another video on the St. Louis Cardinals and the offseason and the hot stove as it's starting to heat up, or at least it's heating up in the sense that we're talking about it on a daily basis. So this video focusing solely on the shortstop position, which I think is a fascinating and intriguing position, not just for the St. Louis Cardinals, but for all of Major League Baseball, in terms of free agents, just like it was last year when you had a crazy crop of free agents at the shortstop position that just got unbelievable contracts. So let's start there, by the way, because I think when folks are wondering, will the Cardinals go big in the shortstop market? I say no. And here's the reason. Not just Masyn Winn, which we'll get to, one of the Cardinals' best prospects, but I think what's best when we're talking about and evaluating the Cardinals is, how do they normally do business? You have now, 14 years with John Mozeliak. You know what he likes to do. You're talking about 25 years or so. How long has it been? I mean, a lot of years under Bill DeWitt Jr. in terms of how do the Cardinals do business, how do they spend, how do they acquire players? Via trade, via draft, via free agency. So first, let's look back at last year. And how about this? I actually did some notes here, which is rare for me. So let's look at last year's shortstop market. Okay, big-time names getting big-time contracts. Let's start with Corey Seager. 10 years, $325 million to the Texas Rangers. Marcus Semien, remember, another guy who can play shortstop. 7 years, $175 million also to the Texas Rangers. Trevor Story last offseason. 6 years, $140 million to the Boston Red Sox. Javi Baez. You know you loved him as a Cub. Probably not. Javi Baez, 6 years, $140 million to the Detroit Tigers. So the exact same deal, basically, as Trevor Story got with the Red Sox. And then Carlos Correa signed one of these weird short-term deals with the opt-outs. So Carlos Correa, 3 years, $105.3 million with the Minnesota Twins, and has already opted out after 1 year. So Correa got, $35 million a year, but on a very short deal. Corey Seager got $32.5 million per year on a ridiculously long deal, 10 years, $325 million to the Texas Rangers. So here's my point. I just mentioned 5 really, really good cornerstone or franchise type players, perennial all-star type players. And this was last offseason when the Cardinals still had a huge question mark at shortstop because Paul DeJong wasn't playing well last year. And at that time, you hadn't really tinkered with Tommy Edman at the shortstop position. And oh, by the way, at that time, Masyn Winn was another year away because he was younger from contributing at the major league level. So I would say this. If the Cardinals passed on essentially the greatest free agent shortstop year we've ever seen, why would they then jump into the deep end of another crazy good shortstop free agent class with a bunch of big names? Oh, by the way, Carlos Correa in that class once again. So I'll mention the names of the guys now who are available this offseason because I think we focus a lot on Trea Turner, but he's not the only one. Here we go. So Carlos Correa, and by the way, I went to Spotrac, however it's pronounced, but they do a great job with all sports, analyzing contracts and the salary cap for different sports. So they estimated that for Carlos Correa, that he's going to get $31.7 million per year. That's either the estimate of what he's worth or what they think he'll get. Market value, essentially. Carlos Correa, $31.7 million. Okay, and he's not even the highest in terms of the estimated value per year because Trea Turner, his estimated value is $33.6 million. And that was, I saw, on a 6-year deal. So you're talking about essentially $200 million. But his AAV, his average annual value, according to Spotrac, is $33.6 million per year. Oh, wait, there's more. Xander Bogaerts, $29.6 million per year, estimated value. And Dansby Swanson is the relatively cheap guy at $24.8 million, estimated market value according to Spotrac, however you pronounce it. Those are some big boys. We're talking 4 dudes who are basically $25 million a year players and above at the shortstop position, and really 3 of them that are right at the $30 million mark and above when we're talking about Xander Bogaerts, Trea Turner, Carlos Correa, and then again, Dansby Swanson, $24.8 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to dole out. And I like all these guys, to be honest with you. I really love Trea Turner because he's so athletic. And the Cardinals need a table setter or table setters to set up Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. I just don't see the St. Louis Cardinals doling out this type of money for these shortstops. I don't think they're going to go after Carlos Correa. I don't think they're going to go after Xander Bogaerts. Also, you're wondering defensively with Xander Bogaerts. Dansby Swanson is a guy that I think on paper makes sense for the St. Louis Cardinals. I just don't think they're going to spend big in free agency. And then Trea Turner really makes sense. But when we're talking upwards of $34 million per year AAV, I just don't think the Cardinals are going to make that move. That's not the way the St. Louis Cardinals do business. Usually if they're going to get a superstar, they grow them from their own farm system, draft and develop, or what we've seen with Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, they trade for that guy, bring him over, even if they have a big contract, or give them an extension. But these huge free agent contracts, that's not what the Cardinals usually do. But man, Trea Turner, he just kind of checks so many boxes: speed, table setter, athleticism, defense. I just think the Cardinals are going to pass once again on another great free agent class of shortstops for a couple reasons. We'll go to the second reason first. I'll go backwards. Tommy Edman proved that he is a very serviceable shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, long term, I don't think Tommy Edman should be the shortstop. I don't like taking him away from the second base position where I think he could and will be a perennial Gold Glove winner. But I think the defense he showed you at shortstop was good enough that you say, you know what, we can pencil in Tommy Edman to be the starting shortstop for the 2023 season, and we'll see what happens in 2024 when we hope Masyn Winn is ready to go. So I think if you enter 2023 with Tommy Edman as your starting shortstop, which John Mozeliak said as much the other day, and then a backup who could be Paul DeJong. I understand Paul DeJong is an expensive backup. At what is he making? I think it's about $9 million. Fact check me on that, you guys. But I think it's about $9 million. But at this point, you don't really have a lot of trade value there. So maybe the best option, if you don't trade Paul DeJong and you're not going to get a ton in return, is just he's a very expensive backup player. But I don't even know if that's going to be the case. It does kind of seem like Paul DeJong and the Cardinals, maybe that relationship has run its course. But so if you then look at the fact that Tommy Edman is a fine shortstop, he's not going to be Gold Glove, I don't think, at shortstop. He will be, again, at second base. But he's good enough to get you through one more year where you would think Masyn Winn, very good chance, could be the starting shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals in the year 2024. And I think that's the way the Cardinals are looking at this position and this situation. So Masyn Winn, who is killing it in the Arizona Fall League, by the way, he'll turn 21 years old this coming March. So he'll be 21 in March, which means he'll be 22 in 2024 when he could be the starting shortstop for the Cardinals. Look at the numbers for Masyn Winn this year, split between high A ball at Peoria and double A Springfield. So 283 batting average. How about these notes, right? Proud of me with these notes. 283 batting average, 364 on base. That's darn good. 468 slugging percentage. A 468 slugging percentage for a shortstop. I know it's the minor leagues. I know it's high A ball, double A, but those are really, really good numbers. 12 homers, and he really picked up the power when he moved up to double A. So 12 homers total, 36 doubles. 36 doubles. Remember, this guy also, he can run 8 triples, 43 stolen bases for Masyn Winn. This dude is a top-end athlete. He can steal bases. He can play a really good defensive shortstop. And he may have the best arm in terms of position players, certainly at the shortstop position, in all of baseball. We're not talking about just the minor leagues. We're talking about he may have the best arm of any position player in baseball. Remember, he throws the ball, at the Futures game, was it 100 or 101 miles an hour, and it was a big thing, and Justin Turner complained. Look, he was showing off. It's an exhibition game. It's the Futures game. Masyn Winn has an absolute rocket of an arm. Okay, he also scored 91 runs. Did strike out 115 times in 550 plate appearances, but had 63 walks. But those are really, really good offensive numbers for a young guy. Now, maybe you say, 283 batting average. Look, we shouldn't focus on batting average as much as we do these days. And look, 283 in the minors, maybe he's a 250 hitter in the big leagues. I don't know. There's a very good chance that's the case. But he has shown the ability to walk, and he has shown the ability to hit for power. So whether that's a 15-homer guy in the big leagues, could he get to 20? I don't know. But with his speed, you got to think this is a guy who's going to hit a ton of doubles and a ton of triples. And when I look at Masyn Winn, look, shortstops do not grow on trees. It's really hard to draft and develop a promising year in, year out starting shortstop in Major League Baseball. And when you have one that's pretty close, I just don't think it makes any sense to give long-term deals to Trea Turner or Xander Bogaerts or Dansby Swanson or Carlos Correa when you have Masyn Winn so close to the big leagues. So for me, it's Masyn Winn. They're all in for 2024 for him to be the starting shortstop for the Cardinals. But if you ask me to bet, which I do like to bet, I would bet that Masyn Winn makes his Major League debut at some point this season. At some point in 2023, Masyn Winn gets a cup of coffee with the Cardinals, whether it's because of an injury or he's playing really well or a September call-up type situation. I think that's going to be the case. And then he most likely is your starting shortstop for 2024. So for the Cards this year, I think they go into the season feeling okay with Tommy Edman, with potentially Paul DeJong as the backup. Maybe they go with a veteran backup type guy if they move Paul DeJong, and they know that Masyn Winn is waiting in the wings. Masyn Winn, probably starts the year at AA, maybe AAA, but most likely he's going to be in AA and AAA this year and ready to rock and roll for the 2024 season. So I actually did some homework. How about that? I actually had some stats for you. And because of all those reasons, I just don't think the Cardinals are going to go big in the free agent market at the shortstop position, even though I absolutely love the idea of Trea Turner being a St. Louis Cardinal. What do you guys think? Drop me your comments. If you like this video, please give us a like. And if you're still watching now and you haven't subscribed to the channel, hey, give us a subscribe. What do you think? A subscribe. It's free. It's free on YouTube. It helps out the creators. We appreciate it. So let me know. And once again, like, comment, subscribe. I love your guys' comments. Keep them coming. We'll do a video later this week just kind of directly responding to your guys' comments. And I'm enjoying doing these videos, talking baseball. I think it's going to be a really interesting hot stove for the Cardinals. I think they're going to make a lot of trades. I think they're going to make 1 or 2 trades for sure. I would bet on that. We'll see. All right. Appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.